back, friends. Today and for the next few episodes, um, it was put on our hearts to do some reflections on a Catholic culture, what that looks like, and maybe in a historical fashion, present day um, rollout, and what we as individual families can do. So I titled this talk, The Church, an Extension of Jesus Through Space and Time. Because the minute we start talking about church or church culture, we're really talking about Christ. They're, in a very real sense, it's somewhat of an interchangeable kind of idea. And of course, as we know, the minute we start talking about Christ, we've got a big subject on our hands. And so too the church. When we start talking about the church, capital C, uh, then a whole host of other topics come along with that. So we kind of want to narrow down our view of church to that of a culture. Um, Sarah and I beforehand were reflecting that there is a confusion which abounds amongst the faithful due to the scandalous behavior of some of the shepherds. There are vac centers and the subsequent policies at numerous parishes, in the U.S. and around the world. Some dioceses, for example, in Colorado, have provided relief for their parishioners with conscientious exemption letters, with the full weight of magisterial documents and subsequent signatures by pastor and ordinary. But other dioceses have not done such things, and so some of the faithful have resorted to someone like a Bishop Schneider or other sorts of means to have that kind of a documentation for religious exemptions. Some bishops have disbanded the Tridentine Mass in their diocese, and others have not. And the current catechism, I think it's version 3, contradicts the prior ones, which I use as version 2. Particularly, one can look at the death penalty. And all of this is kind of highlighted, I think. Do we remember what was going on almost a year ago? It was the scandal of the Pachamama and the beginning of the COVID crisis we know today. So, okay, so that's the bad news. So that's what we're up against, right? So Garden of Grace is Sarah and I. She goes to great length to come and be with us, and make the time in her calendar. Oh my gosh, get her, be available to us. And it's so that we can cultivate a Catholic culture, right? I have a quip, is that I provide a spiritually safe place for Catholic refugees. You can come here, your Catholicism is going to be nourished, but I'm not going to coddle you like your diocesan paper. That's why I started out with these really serious problems in the church. All right, that's true, but we don't need to stay there. So that's kind of the backdrop. We could stop there, and then we're going to go into cult and culture.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, all that I would add to that is that we have the consolation of the family being the domestic church, and so consequently, it is a safe harbor to us. We can know with confidence that when we bring in traditions that have been, enjoyed and experienced by our brethren who have gone before us in space and in time, shall we say, right, that we will have the consolation of the graces that come from those practices. And when we are living those things within the home, right? The family precedes. It is the first building block of the church, but the church itself is the reality of the family grown up, much like the state, right, in a secular sense. And so consequently, what we do in the heart of our home will eventually become the heart that the church beats with. And I think that I had made the mention to you, or had told you that when we were talking about this as an idea, that the church has removed from us days of fasting, which, if you fast, you will never forget the feast, right? Because you'll be hungry for it. You'll be seeking it out. You'll be longing for it. But when the church removes the fast, we never have a hunger. And so consequently, by our failure to fast, we have lost out on the joy of the feast. But we can restore those things in our home.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I really like the way you tied back in, right? Those brethren that's gone before us, because within Christ, that extension through space and time, which is the church. Exactly right. A recent messianic, so I was watching a program, and he referred to himself as a messianic rabbi. And he remarked on the keeping of Jewish feast days by Protestants. He noted that the feasts are not required under pain of sin, but they're rather done as a way to enter into a deeper relationship with both Yahweh and community. These feasts retell the great story of God's saving hand. Esther, the nation rescued from Haman with Purim. That's not Mosaic, which is to be noted. Most of the feasts are Mosaic, but that one is not. Or the Feast of Booths. I was looking at these beautiful pictures of the families gathered in tents with the gorgeous lights and celebrating the time of journey, right? That's what the tents are. They were living in tents during their sojourn in the wilderness. Family unit. Or Passover, the type of that is the type of all of God's salvific acts. That is the paradigm, is Passover. So, and I have down at the bottom a detailed reading of the feast in the Bible. Jesus's great miracles in the Gospel of John fall on the feast days of the Lord. So there is. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that one of the things that is so profoundly real, I guess I would say, about those feast days is that, and the same would be true about the Eucharist, is that they were not merely done for the sake of, just, I don't know, habit. They were literally done for the sake of representing history, so that in a way, the Jewish nation really foresaw that the Mass was going to be for all times and all places, and for all people and all events. And so consequently, we don't, Mass is the representation of Calvary, one sacrifice for all time, so that we can live in that experience with Christ, not through history alone, but through fact, right? It is made present to us again. And that's really what these beautiful traditions that we have lost, in a sense, are intended to do for us. Not to create what the Pope keeps referring to as this false nostalgia, right? I mean, this longing for something that can't ever be again. No, it's the truth that our Lord is not in the past or in the future. He is. He introduces himself to us as I am, right? Not as I was or I will be. He says I am. And so all of these things that we do in terms of recreating these events in our lives are for the purpose of making God manifest, being present now, today, in our lives, in our hearts, in our families, in the world. And when we don't do them, God is not made manifest. He is not present in our hearts or in our family or in our world. We must do these things.
That's right. That's right. All right, we got a helicopter. Sorry about that. Shut the window. All right, my friends, let's pick up with this a deep hunger of lived experience that believers really and truly have. To the next time, Fides et Ratio.